Hey, what's going on everyone? Cloud Dropout here. So in this video we're going to be talking about whether or not an AWS certification is worth it or not. Before we get started, a little bit about me. So my name is Rob and I've worked for AWS as a solutions architect for almost 4 years now. In that time period I've been able to get all 3 associate level certifications. I passed the SA professional certification twice, and I've also gotten the security specialty certification. I've also been able to write and author 2 security pillar best practices for the well-architected framework. I've also have trained and mentored about 30 or 40 solutions architects within AWS, and I'm honestly just kind of trying to take all that technical and helpful experience and just kind of push it into this YouTube channel so I can help even more people out. And so if that kind of resonates with you, I really would appreciate it if you subscribe and let me know down below what you want me to cover next, and I really appreciate it. So to get started though, so are AWS certifications worth it? Short answer is yes, but let me take a step back and kind of explain for today what my AWS journey is, why ultimately I think AWS certifications are worth it, how to get certified, and then I'll finish off with some sort of frequently asked questions around certifications in general. And so a little bit about me some more. So I graduated in May of 2019 from the University of Texas at San Antonio, and I've had a variety of different internships all throughout my schooling, and honestly sort of at the tail end of my college career, I was basically interviewing with companies every other week. I was interviewing for jobs all over the place, all over the country, with all these different tech companies, non-tech companies, the whole 9 yards, right? And so honestly, all roads just sort of seem to kind of point towards AWS in particular. And what I mean by that is a lot of these companies either were beginning their cloud journey or already kind of operating in AWS, and a lot of them said hey, you may want to try and learn the technology, and they kind of actually told me, you may want to get certified. And so I just kind of took it in spirit, and next thing I knew, I was studying after work every day, went straight back to school in the evenings to go and study, taking practice exams, taking courses, all that stuff. And eventually, 3 months later, so I graduated in May of 2019, fast forward 3 months later, kind of doing that day in and day out, I was actually able to get an AWS certification, the Associate Solutions Architect certification. And one of the things that I did was I put it on my resume, and then lo and behold, I see on LinkedIn an Associate Solutions Architect position for AWS. So I was like, all right, and I just applied, and then literally next thing I knew, I got an interview offer from a recruiter the next day saying Amazon's knocking, and here's, let's interview, and then obviously the rest is history, and here I am talking to you. Kind of taking my experience and sort of answering that question, are AWS certifications worth it? In that regard, I absolutely think so, because even throughout my interview, they mentioned, or I was able to bring up the fact that I was certified, and I truly believe that that was kind of what helped differentiate myself from other candidates. I was also able to kind of speak to AWS at a very basic level, but I think that was able to kind of resonate with them and say, oh, okay, this guy kind of knows something about AWS. He's gone out of his way to at least certify in AWS and things like that. And so I truly believe that things just sort of fell into the right place by getting a certification for AWS. And so from my experience, getting a certification, in my opinion, definitely did help me land a job specifically at AWS. It may not be the case for all other companies or situations. Maybe I just got lucky, but that's just my experience, and I'm just trying to foray that back into you. And so that kind of brings it to my second point in terms of, okay, that's my cloud journey. Now, why exactly do I think AWS certifications are worth it in general? And so the first reason is because I think they distinguish yourself from other candidates, meaning if 2 candidates apply to the same job, not really having any experience, but one of them does have a certification, I would definitely at least try to interview the person that has a certification, because it showcases to an employer that you've sat down on a consistent basis, gone through a very structured and approved learning process to learn the AWS technology and services and things like that. And I think by just showing that ability to do that, put it on paper, getting that quick win out of the way, will set you up for success big time going forward. To kind of recap, so getting a certification distinguishes yourself from other candidates that may not have that certification on their resume. And then number 2 is, I honestly believe if you are going to start getting experience and working in a job and stuff, for working with cloud technologies in general, I think that that is a very good first step in terms of not only being able to put it on a resume, getting that quick win out of the way, but also kind of help structure your learning path going forward. So when you're just starting out, you don't know anything, like you don't know what you don't know. And so by getting that certification, it's going to kind of guide you in the right direction and say, okay, maybe I want to go down this learning path or this learning path or this solutions architect learning path. Do I want to get the SA professional after the SA associate? Things like that. I think just getting a certification will help kind of guide you and help you understand more holistically what services or what aspects of AWS you want to be a part of. And then that also kind of ties into the other point as well. So once you're able to kind of go through that learning path from, being someone that does not have a certification to someone that does, now your whole world is opened up in the sense that, okay, now you can start to begin building upon that and then actually getting that fundamental knowledge, generally speaking, in tandem, get that hands-on experience that a lot of these employers are probably looking for too. And so I think by getting that quick win out of the way, not feeling like you're spinning your wheels, just trying to learn everything at once, just get that certification out of the way. You can do that through a variety of different mechanisms like the John Bonzo practice exams, get certified, then take the Adrian Control courses, which are just like super in-depth courses that really train you on how to become an architect or engineer for cloud. And then number 3, AWS also has workshops that you can do and get that hands-on experience. So I kind of recapped everything. So that was my journey. That was why I think certifications are super important these days. And in terms of how to get certified, there's like 3 different things, and I kind of just touched on them. But you can take practice exams by John Bonzo, super in-depth and very realistic to the actual exam. And I can personally say that if it weren't for those exams, I probably wouldn't have gotten certified. My advice to you, get certified through the John Bonzo practice exams. Highly recommend it. And I'll include a link for all these resources down below. And then number 2 is the Adrian Control courses. And so kind of like John Bonzo is like really good for practice exams, everyone I know goes to the Adrian Control courses to get that fundamental cloud knowledge out of the way, and it kind of showcases you, okay, I got certified, now what? And it actually shows you how to build upon that knowledge. And then number 3 is AWS has those workshops that you can go through, and those are also really good for getting hands-on experience, and you can honestly just kind of translate that directly to your resume too. And those are kind of 3 helpful pro tips, in my opinion, to be able to get you certified. So once you've kind of like have realized like, okay, I want to get certified now. All right, I get it. Now what? Go through each of those 3 resources, get certified, build upon that knowledge, and then start getting the hands-on experience through the workshops. And then lastly, I'm going to leave y'all with some FAQ style questions, or frequently asked questions that I've seen online, as in, are AWS certifications in demand? You don't have to take my word for it, but all you have to do is go on all these forums, look around, everyone's talking about AWS from like an anecdotal perspective. But what you can also do is get a data-driven approach, go to Google Trends and also see the amount of search volume for each of these different terms, like AWS certification, AWS Cloud Practitioner certification, which is like the super basic fundamentals certification for AWS. If you look at that, then that clearly shows you your trajectory of how the interest in terms of like people like me and you, or maybe even like employers requiring their employees to be certified in those specific areas. And so you take a look at that and combine that with my experience that I'm telling you, and taking a cursory look, an anecdotal look at the whole industry and what people are saying online. Absolutely. Cloud certifications in general, honestly, are super in demand still. And so the other question I see is getting an AWS certification enough for me to be able to get a job? Now, that's kind of like not necessarily a yes or no answer, but again, if I had to pick one, definitely be a yes. I don't take that yes as me saying you're going to be able to become a principal architect just by getting the cloud practitioner cert. Like, that's probably not going to happen. But let's say like a lot of the people watching this video maybe are just starting out their careers, right? And maybe you're looking for an internship. That could be another way to be able to get something on your resume, get a quick win out of the way, and also be able to set yourself apart from all your other peers within college. Because how many people do you know in university actually have a certification, And the cloud practitioner, as an example, is really not that hard. And if you can just get that and put it on your resume, it may be the deciding factor in a hiring manager's eyes on to at least interview you. And then honestly, like once you're in an interview, all bets are off the table. It's up to you to be able to interview properly, present yourself properly, and showcase your skill set and your desire and willing to learn. But I would be willing to bet that for early career talent, getting a certification absolutely would help you more than not in getting a job. Now, let's say like you're an experienced, architect, but you're like a VMware architect or whatever, like an on-prem engineer. It may be enough, but it may not be. Who knows? Because a lot of these roles do tend to have kind of hands-on experience required, or a lot of like practical knowledge required. And so I think your mileage may vary, to be honest. In my opinion, it's not ever really a bad thing to try and get certified, because again, it's going to push you in the right direction on a learning path that would ultimately result in you getting that hands-on experience, that whole package would result in you actually getting a job. And so it's kind of like a multifaceted question. If the question is to get certified or not certified in a technology that you plan to be working with, absolutely get certified. Anyways, y'all, hope y'all liked the video, and I really appreciate y'all watching. Let me know down below what y'all want me to cover. Feel free to just ask me questions. I'm always on there, always happy to respond. And I really appreciate y'all watching. Hit subscribe, and I thank you guys so much, and y'all have a very nice day. Thanks.